Thank you for jumping on with me, man. Kind of the elephant in the room. Obviously, a 2025 UDFA still eligible for the draft and whatnot. How did the UFL kind of come on the radar for you? Obviously, we could talk about the college accolades. I've followed your career for a little bit. Only two collegiate losses. I mean, you're kind of the dude, man. I've been banging the table for your career for years, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, the UFL, it kind of came out of nowhere because after our season ended this January, after the championship game, I was fully prepared to like take a week off and then go into training for a pro day at Northwestern just because that's nearby my school. And yeah, so I was fully prepared to start training for that. And then Rick Mueller randomly texted me and said, "Hey, like I'm the GM of Arlington Renegades in the UFL. Like hop on a call with me when you can." And at first, I wasn't even thinking about the UFL being a possibility. So I texted my coach and I was like, "Is this thing real? Like, should I do this?" He was like, "Yeah, definitely do that." So I hopped on the call with Rick. We talked for 20, 30 minutes. And then he told me I could think about it for a week and he offered me a spot on the team. And the next week, I was preparing to move to Texas. So,
So, you're kind of one of these unique guys coming from a small school university and whatnot. But I don't think people realize how much of a powerhouse North Central is. Um, I believe you only lost two games there, and they were both the national championship. Obviously, records upon records, whether it be through the air or on the ground. Have you kind of taken upon yourself as this advocate of like D3 football? Obviously, there have been guys from D3 to succeed, but for as a quarterback, it's always kind of been a little bit hesitant for a lot of people.
yeah, I'm honored to kind of represent Division III football. I kind of like think of it that way just to show that hopefully show that the D3 guys can play football and um, it's not just high school at the college level. But yeah, D3 football we can play. So I'm honored to represent the guys and hopefully I do a great job of doing that.
Now, Luke, you're not the only person or quarterback from North Central to have a some success in the pros. Brock Ruther, I believe he was the gentleman that started before you, played with the 49ers a little bit. Have you had any contact with Brock um, as kind of like, hey, navigating this very new venture for yourself?
I've had a ton of connection with them. I mean, me and him, we know each other. We've talked a little bit. I haven't talked to him a ton about this kind of like navigating this, but I did reach out to some guys from my hometown. Daniel Helm, he was a tight end. He had a stint in the NFL and also played in the UFL. So I reached out to him a lot to just kind of see what it would be like coming here.
Now, Luke, obviously, not much off time um, for you, as you discussed previously. How is kind of just getting your body right, and like, are you doing? Is it kind of like a both, rehab while trying to get stronger? Because for the last 4 years, you've played 60 plus games of football, and that season has been a lot longer. I equated to LeBron James a little bit, where he plays a season and a half for God knows how many years. That stuff adds up.
It definitely adds up and it's taxing on your body, but luckily throughout college, I'm used to going from football right into baseball. Football's a little bit tougher on your body, I would say, than baseball is. But luckily in practice, I don't get hit as much, so I don't have to worry that much about that. But yeah, I'd say when I started working out again, where I was working out in Naperville, definitely focused on rehab, kind of fixing some aches and pains that I had. And then after we worked our way into it, we started working on strength.
Did you watch the UFL prior? I know you had Daniel and Daniel, someone you've reached out to and whatnot, but like kind of going from like casual fan to like now I'm a part of this. Did you watch prior?
I didn't watch a ton of the games like live, but I did see the highlights on social media and stuff like that. And then after Rick called me, I went and watched Arlington Renegades like every single game on YouTube. So
No, I love that. So with you kind of diving into it, kind of a an SAT prep course essentially of it. You obviously know the guy that a lot of people talk about is Luis Perez. How has your experience been with Luis? You know, I wouldn't say a similar story, but small school guy who's been able to carve out a nice little niche for himself over the last 7, 8 years in these leagues.
Yeah, it's been a great experience getting to know Luis. Hearing his story, how he started playing football. He didn't even play football in high school. Started at JUCO and worked his way all the way up. So it was great hearing that story, getting to know his background, and then also getting to learn from him on the field and in the film room. It's a great opportunity and a great place for me to kind of come into to get my feet wet in professional football and have somebody that could help guide me through it.
Now, with you guys in a hub, you obviously all are living around each other and whatnot. Have you interacted with some of these other quarterbacks or anything like that? Just kind of like, because you're the new kid on the block and whatnot. So a lot of these guys have been working, training, and been in part of leagues together for the last 4+ years. Have you kind of started picking their minds? Is it a little bit of a brotherhood with you guys being in the hub?
Yeah, I would say definitely a brotherhood. We don't get as much time to spend time with team or different quarterbacks on different teams just because our schedules are all different. But definitely with Luis and Holton, really got to pick their brain, get to know them. And then a couple quarterbacks from the Michigan team, they actually trained in Naperville where I was training. So I got to throw at them a few times, get to know them a little bit too.
I believe Rocky Lombardi's got some ties up to that area as well because Coach Thorne's son also knows Rocky.
Yep,
If I'm
yep,
uh, if I'm not mistaken, right?
yep.
Did you talk to Rocky at all prior to coming here? Like as far as just kind of like he's kind of a year ahead of you. Went to the Bengals, got drafted. Anyone you can really lean on with that as far as adjusting a little bit?
Yeah, I kind of talked to him a little bit because he was one of those guys that was training in Naperville with me. I got to throw with him a few times, just kind of talked about the UFL, getting into it, stuff like that. But Holton Ahlers has also been great because he's like a year ahead of me. Just getting to hear what
Yeah.
it was like for him in his first year, stuff like that.
How has the adjustment been as far as playbook and everything like that? Now, not only is this league been around for a couple of years, it's like Coach Bob has done a really good job of kind of keeping his staff, like with Chuck Long being there and whatnot as well. I think Coach Spurrier is going into his fourth year with Coach Stoops as well. And how has that been kind of like going into that system and whatnot from your college days and what?
Yeah, the playbook was a little tough at first just because they kind of throw everything at you, see what you can pick up. But I do think I'm getting the hang of it. We're about a week in, so I'm getting more and more comfortable each day. The play calls are a lot longer than I was used to in college, so that's something that I have to get used to.
Yeah.
But other than that, I have a lot of guys that are around helping out, quarterbacks, coaches, other receivers helping out with plays as well, just to help me learn. Shout out my wife too. She's been helping me study at home. But uh but yeah, been picking up the plays as we go.
Has it been a little bit different? I don't know if it is, if you guys implemented it in practice, but with the headsets kind of coming in as well compared to college when you were doing probably three different signs and whatnot, formation, play, route tree.
Yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to do the headset mic yet. We haven't done it yet through practice, but yeah, just different from college, just because college we did all hand signals. So yeah, definitely be something different for me. Holton told me a little bit about it just because I asked him, but yeah, I haven't got the opportunity to do that yet. But
As far as kind of the next objective and everything like that, has the UFL kind of helped you out with like the possibility of obviously still being eligible for the draft and whatnot? Have they had those conversations with you because you are in the unique position of being a 2025 eligible draft player?
yeah, that was something that Rick and I talked about on our first call when he called me the first time. Just because I did want the possibility of still being able to go to the NFL even with being here. But yeah, that was something we discussed, and he's being very flexible with me, and he wants the best for me. So he's looking to potentially get some teams out to practice, or maybe even set me up for a pro day in the Texas area if possible. But yeah, we're working together just to come up with ways that get me out there just for the NFL, the chance I would get to go to the NFL.
100%. It's been obviously a lot of emotions and everything like that. You mentioned you're married. I assume you haven't been married for very long. How has your wife been supporting this process with you? Or is she down here in Arlington and whatnot? I'm sure there's been a lot of different emotions going on.
Yeah, has been very supportive the whole way. When I first told her after I got off the call with Rick, she was sleeping because she works the night shift, or she used to. So I woke her up and told her we might be moving to Texas, and she was fully supportive from the get-go. She's down here with me now. But yeah, she was more than happy to leave her nursing job, working the night shift near the Chicago area. So yeah, she's happy to be down here in some warm weather.
Yeah, no, I've done the medical thing myself for a while, so it's definitely not the most fun job working the night shift near a major metro. So I definitely relate to that her on that. Well, Luke, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Sarah said you were getting some extra reps and whatnot. Just touch on that. Is that just you and a couple other receivers working out, or is Luis kind of helping you out there, or Holton out there with you a little bit as well?
Yeah, after practice every day, we have about 20 minutes left. So we like to use that time as much as we can. Just walking through some stuff with Luis leading the way, letting other guys get reps as well. And then just extra work if anybody wants it, whether we want to work on throwing certain routes or working on certain concepts, stuff like that. Just depends. Like, not we don't always throw different routes. It just depends if a receiver felt like he had a bad day or wanted to rep something more. We get that extra work in.
Last two questions from me, Luke. Um, have you kind of had a welcome to the UFL moment? You know, welcome the pro football moment. Talk to me about the first snap you took, whether it be an RPO or basic handoff to just like, hey, let's rip it, kid. Like, let's do this.
Yeah, I think my first 7-on-7 moment, I didn't get much time to warm up, but I had to throw a deep ball right away. Luckily, I completed it, but and then we had a team segment where I might have been wrong on the snap count or something. I like forgot what I was going on or something. The center snapped it as I was turning my head, but luckily I was able to get my hand back in front. But nothing, I haven't got hit or anything yet. Luckily, I got this red jersey on. I don't have to worry about that. But yeah.
Well, that's because you're a baseball player. You got to have soft hands. So if you got to push the ball out and whatnot,
Uh-huh.
so
Yep.
everyone practiced the Derek Jeter flip growing up. Not semi in the same age bracket. Luke, final question from me. I'll let you bounce out of here. Um, as far as any of the defense, like, are you like kind of going back to the original one of the previous questions? As far as reading the coverages and anything, is everything kind of slowing down for you and what a little bit more complex and everything's kind of coming together and whatnot?
I think definitely at first it was a little more complex just because my mind was going all different directions, trying to remember the play and the snap count, and then I got to look at the coverage. But as we've gone through it, it's definitely slowed down a little bit. Just watching film, with the quarterbacks and the receivers, and just watching over that stuff, it has really helped slow everything down for me.
Awesome. Well, Luke, I'm going to do a nice little write up for you, man. You have a lot of support here in the Midwest area and whatnot. I'm sure you'll have a decent amount of people coming to watch you when Arlington pops up to
St.
St.
Louis,
Louis, and
yep.
I'd yeah, love to shake your hand in real life, man. I'm sure your coaches will be there and everything, and just the whole Midwest extremely proud of you, and we all know it's you're capable of.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.